transitioned to be a tight end in college, and my first weigh-in was 200 pounds. So I was a little guy. Getting a bunch of snaps under my belt was super important. Like I was not ready to play as a freshman. As a young player, you kind of put a lot of pressure on yourself, but the pressure only happens on in the weeks preparing. You've already put everything in, and the game is just going to take care of itself.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Call The Huddle podcast. My name is Xavier Gusset. It's officially draft season, and we got a fun episode today for the draft. Today's episode, I got a chance to talk with former Western Michigan tight end Blake Bosma as he prepares for the 2026 NFL draft after the season. Blake walked onto the Broncos squad in 2021 before earning a scholarship in a starting role in 2022 and was a big help this past season in leading Western Michigan's MAC championship. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy, and let's get to it. First one I wanted to ask you specifically. I played a little bit of tight end back in my day, so I kind of know what it's like. But tell me, like Gronk or Kelsey, just between those two, who would you pick?
Oh man, that's a tough question. I mean, I think there's aspects of both that are great. I think Gronk was the most dominant tight end that I've seen in my life of watching, but Kelsey also applies much different pressures to defenses, and um, I think Gronk um, is probably one of the best tight ends um, in this era. But I think um, I want to picture my game looking more like Kelsey. So I don't know if that's a fair option to choose. What do you prefer? I think many different people have different views on that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't know. I feel like they're different players altogether. I've talked about this with a lot of people. Gronk was kind of dominant. I feel like, which was like a different type of dominance than Kelsey was.
Right.
And I feel like if you put some of those guys on Gronk's team, like some of the speedsters and stuff in the schematics, uh, it might not be different. But like I said, they're completely different players. Honestly,
Right.
played with completely different quarterbacks and stuff. It's kind of like just a fun talk. Do you think like you know who's the goat tight end? You have like a pick, or is it one of those two?
Uh, I honestly don't really have a GOAT pick. I don't watch enough NFL. I obviously
Okay.
love Sam Laporta. Growing up as a Lions fan, and then like Calvin Johnson when I was younger. Like I know he's not a tight end, but watching him be dominant in the pass game was something to really admire. And I mean, he was big enough to be a tight end that I think I can use some of his game and use it in my play, and also taking tight ends that are newer into the game. And in this new era of football, I think tight ends are getting used much more and in a much more dynamic way. I think it's cool to see how the position has grown over even the 5 years that I've played it, and seeing how those have changed and the players have changed. And you don't have to be the 6'7" big body type, but you can be the 6'3", 6'2". Kyle Juszczyk obviously is a great tight end, fullback type aspect. And then you have the bigger guys like Darnell Washington that add a completely different dynamic too. So I think every offense has a fit for multiple tight ends. And that's what I've said. I think tight end is one of the best positions, and I think it is the bestest position just because you can have a bunch of tight ends in a room that are all going to play and add value to the team in a different way. And I think it adds a completely different dynamic than a bunch of different positions. So I've really enjoyed my time playing tight end, and have really enjoyed the players that I've crossed paths with. And I've really just loved my teammates, and especially the tight ends that I've worked with.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's one of my favorite positions. Just from like I always say to people, like tight end coaches in general are some of the smartest coaches, just because of how much they know, in every side, in every aspect. Uh,
Right.
and like talking about like that a little bit, like Kelsey Gronk, like they were kind of different eras of tight ends. Like you mentioned, how much more they've been used in recent years. Like Kelsey is a different type of guy, more of a receiving type, and like has definitely uh, evolved the way tight ends are used a little bit more.
Right.
Um, that's awesome. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to ask, like, those leading into this, like, so you mentioned that you don't watch a lot of NFL ball. Like, were you more NFL or college growing up, and like, how much football did you watch growing up?
Honestly, I'm the first person in our family to really enjoy football like I do. My brother played college baseball, my dad played college basketball, and my mom played college soccer. So I was the first football player in our family growing up. So it was cool to see just me able to kind of handle it on my own and learn the new aspects, and obviously had great coaches and mentors growing up. But I think I was probably more of a college fan growing up. Um, we would I actually only went to one NFL game when I was younger, and went to a few Michigan games, went to a few Michigan State games, and obviously like Hope College, my hometown, was in my hometown, so saw some of their games. But honestly, like college basketball was really big in my family, and when as a family we're trying to go to all the baseball MLB baseball stadiums, so we've been to 20 MLB stadiums. So honestly, football wasn't even the biggest priority in our family, but now that I've picked up football, my dad is now a ref, and has grown in his interest in the game. But honestly, I fell in love right when I started playing it, and got introduced by a neighbor who actually made me do Oklahoma drills with his kid, like the first time of me putting pads on. So, I mean, fell in love with it that very first time, put the pads on, and just have always loved putting the pads on, playing the game, um, just being physical, and just I think there's no sport like football, and the lessons that it teaches you, the adversity that you have to handle, and it's just an awesome sport overall.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I really agree. I cover a lot of sports, and they're all different in their own ways. But football is has so many of the aspects of like team stuff. Uh, I mean, it's so unique in all those ways. I love it. Like
Right.
for fans and for I wish more fans kind of like understood like the that aspect of it more, like what you get out of it, and like what the product of football is.
Right, yeah. I think it's more than just a game, and me and my fiance were actually talking about the future. She plays professional softball in Mexico, so she's an athlete, and she understands the um, challenges of being an athlete and being a young kid trying to battle sports. And we were talking about sports that our kid could possibly choose, and just um, I know lots of people are iffy on football, but I think it teaches some of the best lessons in life, and teamwork, like you said, just working as a team with a bunch of different backgrounds. Like mostly when I got to Western, I realized like I had a much different upbringing than many different people. Some had it worse, some had it better, and just seeing how all the different backgrounds can work to the same goal, and that's one of the coolest things about football and sports overall. But I
Yeah,
think football is specifically. I mean, you have over 100 guys in college on a team, and there's no other sport that's like that. And you're all working towards a common goal, and there's going to be outliers that challenge a team, and you got to bring them along as a captain and a leader, and just bringing everyone to the common goal and working towards that next level is always what you're striving for as a team and as a player.
absolutely. Heck yeah, man! I could tell you love football. That's awesome.
Absolutely, I love it, and like I said, walked on, and
Yeah.
um, I mean that was my overall decision, just because I love football so much and wanted to challenge myself to the max, and um, iron sharpens iron. So did that and was challenged every single day. Went against one of the best MAC defenses and one of the best defenses in the nation that year, my freshman year, and um, was scout team player of the year and was able to help the team in that way. And then obviously worked my way up through the ladder after lots of hard work, and just those coaches that helped me throughout the way.
That's awesome. I want to get more into that, more into like if your freshman year, I know your first big game, and your whole career has been really awesome to like kind of look into, and inspiring just to like read and then look at and stuff. Blake, what's your favorite snack?
Ooh, favorite snack. I'd probably go with jelly beans. It's not really on my diet right now, but I think jelly beans was always been a pick me up when I need one. When you're
Sheesh.
need a little sweet snack after a long homework session or whatever it is, you can always just grab a
Yeah.
handful of jelly beans, and um, that
Sheesh.
always was something that I would have in my room that I'd be able to grab.
You got a favorite flavor or like anything like that?
I like the red ones. I think they're the very cherry ones, and they're the best ones for sure.
That's sick. I like Mike and Ike, so I feel you with those.
I like Mike and Ike's too, but I think jelly beans take the cake on that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Word. Uh, Talking a little bit, a couple more icebreakers I got here, and then like I said, I want to jump into your career, really deep dive. Uh, Give me some of your favorite moments. Do you have a favorite moment or favorite game that stands out from your 5 year career?
Uh, Honestly, I had a very awesome career. Like, wouldn't change anything about it. I think my first game being at Michigan State after being put on scholarship was a really cool experience. And that was probably one of the cool experiences. But then when I had a 3 touchdown game against Buffalo, that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Just to be the first tight end in history at Western Michigan to have 3 touchdowns in a game. So um, making history is always fun. And then obviously the MAC championship was the peak, being able to come back to Western for my final year and finish it off right with um, a lot of my best friends and buddies that I've gone through it with. And a lot of people enter the portal and leave, and then some graduate. But being able to do it with, I think we had like 7 guys that were in my class that were still there after like 30 came in. So seeing those guys get rewarded and
yeah.
seeing all our hard work after 5 years be rewarded, it's there's nothing that can beat that.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I know, like Western Michigan specifically, I know you guys won 10 games this year, had one of the best seasons in history, program history. But there's so much talent there. There's been for years and years. You know, who are some of the best players you've played with and against, like at Western Michigan? You know, in practice and then in games.
When I came in as a freshman, I was 200-pound tight end, so not a great spot as a college player, but that defense was just great to play against. Ali
Yeah.
Fayyad, Andre
Right.
Carter, Marshawn Nealand, and Zaire Barnes, AJ Thomas, all those guys who have been through the league and are in the league now. So, I mean, those were the guys that I was going against every day and that were the best that I've played against over and over. But I've obviously played with a lot of good players. Sky Moore was on that team. That freshman year was actually, now that I look back on it, that team was really
That's
stacked and didn't really do that much with it. But um, some would say our team was less talented this year and the other years where we had better experiences, record wise and stuff. So I think just the cohesion at Western was important to us, and we might not have had the best players, but I've obviously been around great players like Nadeem Tucker this year, led the nation in sacks and TFL. So being with him was a lot of fun when it went up against him every single day. And then Tate Halleck, who I've been there with for 3 years, and going against him every day, him coming to fill the hole was definitely a challenge every single day. Get your bell rang, and he'd win some, and I'd win some. So definitely grew my ability to block and run routes against him. But like I said earlier, iron sharpens iron, and we were able to take tips from each other, saying what gave away his tells and stuff like that. So I think he's been one of my favorite teammates to work with, just bouncing ideas off
cool.
of him and seeing what he sees that I'm doing that I could improve on. And he's always a guy that's easy to talk to and was a great leader for our team.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, like I mentioned, just so much talent on that team. I think you didn't mention Braden Fisk was another that kind of came to mind. I remember watching him on some of the media stuff from that year.
Yeah, I was
And he,
lucky. I didn't really have to block him. He was more on the interior, but he
yeah,
definitely was giving us fits and um, love Fisk. And I was lucky that year that I didn't have to face him on the interior. And he was definitely giving our scout team offense fits. And he obviously went to Florida State and thrived there as well. And we still stay in contact. I actually make cleats for him now. So it's pretty cool to
that's awesome.
see how he's flourished, and obviously had a great rookie year and then a great year this past year.
That's cool. I got to talk to him. What his like when it the off season he was going to the draft at the Senior Bowl.
Oh
He's
yeah,
awesome, dude, and he's like super crazy athlete. He ended up playing for both teams, the Senior Bowl. He ended up playing for like the practice team the whole week, and then for the game day, they needed like another D lineman on the second team, like the team that he was practicing against all week. And
right.
Fisk came out and played against the team that he was playing against all week. So he's a dude, and that's why he's playing championship football this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, he's a top tier guy. I remember when we were doing mat drills, he would have to go like with the receivers or a much faster skill group just because he was such a great athlete and great player overall.
Yeah. Do you have a position other than like tight end, like that you'd want to play?
Man, if I could throw the ball, I wish I could play QB, but
Nice.
wasn't gifted with that great of an arm. And I've been around some great quarterbacks, and I think the tight ends and QBs always are a group that bond together. And um, honestly, I think O linemen are also creatures that
Yeah.
um, blend well with the tight ends, and that's where I think the tight end really is the greatest position. You can really get along with every
Yeah.
position and spend time with every group, and we're involved in every aspect of the game, and we can relate to every type of player.
Yeah, I think that last sentence you said says it perfect. Like the dynamic is definitely different. And you got like it's a different position. You got the best of both worlds in everything. Like everything in every way. It's why it's like I said, one of my favorite positions, and I love when I get to see like I mentioned earlier, tight end coaches like getting elevated or interviewed for positions and
Right.
stuff like that. Like they're brilliant compared to other positions, just because of how much other perspective you have to have. Uh,
Right.
is there any music or anything you like do pregame that's like a tradition for you?
I really don't. I'm not really a music person. Listen to Christian music, calm my nerves
Cool.
and think about why I'm there, and glorifying God and everything that I do is important to me, and he's put me in this spot, so do everything I can to work hard and glorify him for all the gifts that he's given me, and he calms me down before games, and knowing that the training that I've put myself through and the trials and tribulations that he's put me through, I'm going to be prepared for whatever's sent my way for that game day or for that practice or for whatever it is.
I love that. Yeah, just getting focused, like in right mindset and everything. That's awesome.
Yep.
Last one, and now I want to dive into your career a little bit in this past season. Um, being in Michigan, obviously there's so many different stadiums. Is there anyone around the country or anything that stands out in terms of like going to and having a crazy time?
We had some good trips. The first one that comes to mind is Michigan State.
Yeah.
It's a cool stadium. They're right on top of you. Um, I think Wisconsin was an awesome experience. We're in
Okay.
the game. We were up going into the fourth quarter, I want to say, and so the jump around wasn't as good as what they say it was, but was able to experience that. And then Iowa waving to the Children's Hospital was also a cool experience. But I think overall, like my favorite stadium we played at, I mean, Ford Field obviously was pretty awesome being able to play in the Lions Stadium, but College Stadium, I'd say MSU is probably my favorite one that we played in.
That's cool. That's awesome. And yeah, like I mentioned, Michigan's got like a bunch of different colleges, like so many,
Yeah,
like a lot of really premier ones, big stadiums and stuff like that. So that's awesome.
right.
Um, I appreciate all the time. I know this is what like 15, 20 minutes of icebreakers.
No
Uh,
worries. Yeah.
you, are you doing good? You having fun?
Oh yeah. I'm a pretty good talker and got a sales major, so I'm gonna have to be able to talk a
Yes,
good
major.
amount if I ever get into sales. So
Damn, that's cool. That's good to know. It's good to know.
yep.
Uh, so tell me, like, I know you grew up in Michigan. First year in 2021, you redshirted, played the last 4 years at Western Michigan. I know you walked on to begin your career. In this past year, I think you guys won like the last 6 games or something to end off the year, like one bowl game.
Mhm.
Uh, I think Coach said it was the first time you guys were ever bowl game or bowl champions and MAC champions in the same season. Um,
Yep.
just tell me, like, what's the experience been like for you at Western Michigan, and what does it mean to you personally?
It's been a great experience. Walking on was definitely a challenge, and um, I'll always respect walk-ons and what they do, and I feel like it was allowed me to have a great viewpoint as a leader of being down as a walk-on and realizing that they're not down and knowing that they can help the team just as much. And throughout my career, had some great coaches like Teddy Hefter, who was actually working with the defense. When I was on scout team, he was helping the offense as a defensive coach. He really helped me grow as a player and teaching me the small nuances of offense, running routes, and seeing what the defense is doing and seeing how it could change my play. Because, excuse me, in college or in high school, you just run what's on paper and you run the route, how it's drawn. And I think in college, you grow to more find the space and
Mm-hmm.
get open with the routes that they give you, but also knowing that if you just run on paper, you're going to be covered most of the times. So I think that experience with him was
It's
very
awesome.
beneficial, and then had some great offensive coordinators that helped me early on in my years, and was able to be surrounded by some great tight ends, Austin Hens, Josh Burgett, Mitch Bartle, all those guys really helped me coming up and teaching me the ins and outs of what's helped them throughout their years. And soaking all that up from them was really important for my ability to continue playing at a high level and growing as a player. And I think once my redshirt junior year hit, the game really slowed down for me. I was able to watch a little bit more film, see how the game looks after seeing myself on film, and then being able to use that to slow down the game for me when I'm in the game, and then using it to see what I need to work on inside hands, low pad level, and just improving those aspects where you might not be able to feel it on the field, but once you watch it on film, you're like, man, my pads are always too high on this play or whatever it is.
Okay.
So I think growing as a player throughout my junior and senior year has been really important. And having a great coach, Coach Moulton, he was really able to, he was a former QB coach and then offense coordinator. So he really was able to
Oh,
know all the things about the coverages that we were going against, the fronts, the things that the tells of their defensive end when they have their inside foot up and whatever hand they have down. So getting those tells from
wow.
him and learning how he watches film as a QB coach and as an offense coordinator really helped me and the entire tight end room is grow as tight ends and become a better player.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's super cool about like your Coach Moulton. I know I want to talk about him a little bit more later, but I didn't know he was a former quarterbacks coach. That's really like goes into what we were talking about. It ties in with just how like well set up tight end coaches are. Um, I know I talked to a few years ago in here. I talked to one of OTG's clients, Grant Morgan, who won the Burlsworth Award a few years ago, was a walk on, and said that being a walk on is not for weak minded people. It's a grind all the way. Um, I know your first game on scholarship, you had 5 receptions, like big game for you. Uh, Tell me what's it like being a walk on, and like what will you remember about that?
Uh, I'll definitely remember just having that chip on my shoulder and taking that with me throughout my career and throughout my life. And just my dad would always ask me after I got home from certain practices, whether it was basketball practice or baseball, or even when Pee Wee football, he would ask me if I got outworked by anyone, and I would always say no. And I think that's something you got to take in as a walk on and not get outworked. And someone might want to maybe you don't have as much energy one day, but knowing that you have that chip on your shoulder and you didn't get any high school recruiting out of high school, so using that to benefit you, and whether that was on the nightly workouts or the extra stretching that people don't see and the extra film that some people don't see. And I think a lot of people nowadays are posting on Instagram showing what they're working out or spending time in their facility and posting that stuff. And I think that's great that they're in the facility and getting that extra work, but I think a lot of the work is done in the dark, and what you do then is shown when you play the games and when you go up against opponents that haven't done as much preparation or hard work. And that also goes for in games, like running to the ball. Like those things don't go unnoticed, and they're going to pay off when that guy fumbles or you make that touchdown block. And always going the extra miles to help out the team in whatever way it is, but you might not know what it's going to help with, but then when it happens you realize and can look back on that. That's why I run to the ball, that's why I block after the play and stuff like that. So I think being a walk on has really shown me to outwork everyone else and bet on myself, and knowing that I might not be the biggest, strongest, fastest, but the work that I put in and the football aspect is the most important. And if you're the biggest, strongest guy and can't play football, it's not going to benefit you. And having those football skills is really the most important thing of them all. And being able to look back, watch your film, and grow on those things that you've learned from. And then also watching other tight ends and the great tight ends like you talked about, and learning from them and using their skills and growing your game.
Yeah, absolutely. I know like that's awesome. I appreciate all that. Talking about like the jump from the first year to your last year. I know that last game of your career, you guys won the bowl game. Um, you had the career high 5 catches, uh, or a season high or something. Um, Tell me like from the beginning of this season, how much did you grow as a leader?
I grew a lot. I think um, early on it's challenging because we got a lot of transfers and a lot of older guys. But I think, like I said, when I put in that extra work that's in the facility and extra stretching at home, those guys are able to see like, oh, he doesn't go out and he does the extra stuff on his own. I think players respect that, and it doesn't always have to be the most vocal and screaming at this person for doing something wrong. I think that is beneficial for some guys, but I think a lot of people um, work hard when they see other people work hard, and they like Josh Franklin's a great example for me. I see him work hard, and I that makes me want to continue working harder and work as hard as I can because I see how much it means to him and the sacrifices he's made. And I think Coach Taylor did a great job this year. Just he actually let guys speak for the team meeting before the night before games, and a few guys talked about sacrifices that they made. They might have had to miss funerals, miss family gatherings, things like that. And then also James Camden also talked about like sacrifices that our families made to get us in this situation, and just seeing what other people talk about and the sacrifices that they've made and seeing what's important to them makes me want to work just that much harder. And overall, as a team leader, players are going to see each other, and whether it's bringing someone along to catch extra balls or telling someone that they need to improve on this, I think both of those things are beneficial to the team. And it doesn't always have to be yelling at them across the field, but sometimes just pulling them aside, bringing them out to eat, and talking to them like that. And sometimes they have a different view on things, and that's where being a leader, you have to understand that not everyone looks at everything the same, and some people might not love football as much as me, but they have some reason that they're playing for.
Yeah, definitely. That's like you mentioned earlier, like the diversity of football just like naturally
Right.
comes, and that's like builds stronger teams too. Like you mentioned, like what you guys got this year. Um,
Absolutely.
it's really awesome here listening to Coach Taylor talk, uh, and just like the whole team in general and stuff. But it's awesome listening to him talk. What was your first like what like being from Michigan and then spending your freshman year there? Uh, I'm not too sure about like his background, but what was your first impressions of him, and how has your bond and relationship grown since then with him?
Yeah, I think Coach Taylor really came in with a lot of energy. I know he grew up in Alabama and then came from Louisville. And the first video that Western Michigan posted of him, I think he was at a hockey game pumping up the crowd. And that just, the energy that he had and the juice that he had in that moment really just juiced the team up and showed how excited he was to be at Western and grow the team and change the culture and improve and just raise the standard was really important to him. And we obviously didn't always see eye to eye, um, but I feel like that's what great leaders do, and we were able to talk a lot of things out. And I think that's what allowed our team to be great. Is he really listened to the players, asked what he needed to improve on, and understood that he wasn't perfect, and neither were we as players. So I think that really grew as he was here, and it's his first time being a head coach, so he was able to take that criticism or input from the team to really benefit the team. And
Yeah.
obviously we had a good first season with him, but then this past season we had our best season, and just seeing that continual growth shows how he's willing to improve and take input from other guys. And that's one of the best things that he did. And he really allowed the leaders to speak up, and he talked about it a lot. Just the leaders on the team were um, like a good team. They have good coaches, but the great teams, they have great leaders in the locker room and also as coaches to push the team to their max and raise that standard. And I really love him and appreciate everything that he's done for me. And we've just grown a lot, and he's been able to benefit me as a player and give me input on things that I have to improve on. And he obviously has a lot of experience at high levels. He worked in the NFL, and just teaching me to improve as a player was really important for my career. And he's got a great future ahead of him.
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate that. Like I said, I gained a lot of respect just like listening to him talk to the team. He seems like an interesting coach. Seems like a player's coach just from
Yep.
afar. Um, the one of the interesting things that I feel like comes up, like that I want to hear your take on with NIL, that I kind of feel like a lot of people don't grasp is like you mentioned the diversity of football and like the diversity that it teaches you and like the way of life that it brings and stuff. Ever since like the NIL and the transfer portal kind of came in and stuff, I feel like diversity is obviously like even more so. Like there's less tribal teams and stuff in college football, or just among football. Uh, how have you seen Western Michigan, like the locker room, change over the last 4 years with that, and how have you been impacted by like the differences or diversity, I guess?
Yeah, it's changed a lot, but honestly, I'm very happy for the transfer portal. Some of my best friends are from the transfer portal, and I wouldn't have been able to meet them if the transfer portal wasn't a thing. And um, honestly, I think the transfer portal is a good thing, and obviously, it gets blown out of proportion a lot of times just because of the bigger schools and the more money, the more things that it draws in. But honestly, I think the transfer portal has been a great thing for Western. Some of our best players have come from the transfer portal, and they brought players in that have really benefited the team. And like every time, every school, I'm sure, has had some that don't fit the culture. And then seeing that person grow after we've talked to them about the culture and shown them the culture, it's cool to see those guys when they first come in, might not be completely bought in, but then as time goes on, they buy in. And seeing how our team has grown right at the start of spring, and then when we get more transfers, seeing how the team has changed and improved and raised the standard, and just the buy-in this past year was um, the most important thing. And Coach Taylor, he did a great job at just relaying the message and putting down the groundwork for what the standard is, and then just holding the standard all year was super important for our team.
Yeah, um, that's awesome. I like thank you. As someone who's been there since 2021, like, could you give me like, is there any example you could think of, like in terms of like something that you had to ingrain into your day to day, or like something that like you saw other people have to do like throughout years?
I think when Coach Bernardi came in, our strength coach, he changed a few things that some guys didn't like. Like we all had to have black socks and all had to have the same attire on, and that was really important to him. And
Nice.
some guys felt like that should be overlooked. Like, what's it matter that we all have black socks on? Like, what's it matter? But those small details pay a price and end up making a difference in the end. And I think those are the details that he talked about, and Coach Bernard really showed our team. And like in the weight room, we have the dumbbells; they all have to have the Broncos up. So stuff like that is
Yeah.
the small details have to be important to the team. And whether the Broncos up or the Black Sox, whatever it is, those small details don't go unnoticed, and that will allow you on the field to know that the small details matter and that no detail is too small and every detail should be noticed.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get that. Uh, so I want to talk a little bit about like your game as a tight end. Um, I know, like you mentioned, being the first tight end in a school history to catch three touchdowns in a game last year, or 2 years ago, I guess 2 seasons ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, what's your football background? Like how long you've been playing tight end for, like your whole life, and how have you gotten better, like over the last few years? Like where and what area specifically?
Um, so I started out Pee Wee football. I played QB. I think, um, played receiver, played tight end, played running, pretty much everything I could. Just wanted to be on the field as much as possible. And then got to high school early on in my career, just played receiver. And then end up playing like safety and then punt returner and kick returner in high school. Um, and then transitioned to be a tight end in college. And my first weigh in was 200 pounds. So I was a little guy trying to play tight end, and um, benefited me in the long run, was able to put some
Yeah,
weight on and grow my body and improve in that way. And like I said earlier, just watching film and getting a bunch of snaps under my belt was super important. Like I was not ready to play as a freshman, but had some injuries and was kind of thrown in the fire and kind of was had to learn. Otherwise, I would just be getting smoked out there. And obviously had my growing pains as a freshman and sophomore. But then, like I said, junior year and senior year, the game slowed down, and was able to build the trust of the coaches and be that third down reliability or the red zone guy that if we need a touchdown, we're able to go to Boz and know that whatever aspect of the game is, whether it's running behind me or throwing to me, that I'm going to be a trustworthy guy. And I think that's grown throughout practice and through the extra times, the extra balls caught. Like I caught over 1,000 balls every day with Anthony Sambucci last year on the Monarch, and just putting those extra reps in with him and with other teammates that would we would bring along. Just knowing that I put in the time helped me trust my game a lot more and kind of slowed the game
Mhm.
down. Knowing that I've done all the preparation and just the game is the last thing that and it'll take care of itself.
Got you. Yeah, like that's super cool because I know, like you mentioned, playing Michigan State that first like your freshman year, and then junior year, you end up having a career high like in yards, 400 something yards, and in a career season, 3 touchdown game against Buffalo, all that. Um, what are the jumps like? Can you tell me like off like you know outside of like the physical realm, mentally? What are the jumps that you take mentally throughout the years as a tight end? Like, what was the biggest growth, like year of growth for you mentally?
That's a tough question. I think every year my mentality improved and just grew as a player, and the more time I was able to put into football and trust myself in that way, I was able to slow the game down mentally because I know that I've already experienced it every play, that every defense that they're going to run, every front on film already. So I know that that benefited me. And the more coaches, the more players that I talked about, I was able to um, take stuff that they use when watching film and kind of bringing it into the way that best benefits me from watching film. And mentally, I think sophomore junior year was my biggest jump. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Showed on stat wise, but also just slowing the game down and learning from Coach Moulton on what aspects of the game were most important to look at when watching film and stuff like that. So I think overall, my mentality has improved every year. Just
Mm-hmm.
um, not getting as nervous before games, and just knowing that as a young player, you kind of put a lot of pressure on yourself. But once you grow up, you try and take a little bit more pressure off, and knowing that pressure usually makes a player play worse, and the pressure only happens on in the weeks preparing and knowing that you've already put everything um,
Mm-hmm.
already put all the work in, and the game is just going to take care of itself.
I got you. Putting all the pressure on in practice, and then yeah,
Right.
I feel you. I got you. Talking about Coach Moulton a little bit. I know you mentioned him and some of your other favorite coaches. Who are some of the coaches like that have had impacts on you, like the biggest impacts throughout, from high school and up to now?
My high school coach definitely made the biggest impact on me football
Got you.
wise. Ryan Oshnock, he um, helped me ever since I was a freshman, and he, like I said, kind of how my freshman year in college when I kind of got through into fire. He um, put me on varsity as a freshman, and
Yeah.
I was
Well.
able to grow as a freshman like that, and then improve my sports. And he was always a guy I could rely on, and he'd always be there when I needed someone to talk to. And football wise, school wise, he was always helping me in whatever way that I needed. And he's a mentor and someone that I respect greatly and appreciate. And then going into college, I think I had some great offense coordinators, Jeff Thorne, um, and then Greg Whalen was one of my tight ends coach that really helped me. He was my redshirt freshman year, so when I got put on scholarship, he was one of the reasons that happened, and he was able to help me football wise. He was actually previously an O line coach, so I was able to learn a bunch of different things from him in that aspect, and then um, having Coach Evans, who was more of a receiver aspect or QB or running back. So he was able to help us with that aspect. And then Coach Moulton kind of wrapped it all together, and he had a bunch of knowledge. He is the most football knowledgeable person that I know. And taking tips from him was super easy, and he's able to break down every single thing to a great extent. And it really shows how great of a coach he is. And he's still at Western right now and as a tight ends coach, and they're in great hands in that aspect.
Yeah, that's awesome. And coaching's hard. Coaching like is a crazy lifestyle. It's just like I talk to a lot of people who like would never coach, who say it's like, after they play and stuff, like it's just like you don't get to see your family. Like it's crazy, crazy nights and stuff. Um, off the field, have those guys had like impacts on you at all?
Uh, all my coaches were great coaches on and off the field. All those guys were
Mm-hmm.
great personal people that weren't just football coaches, and I think that's where coaches are great people, and that's where they make the most impact on kids. And I think a bunch of people don't realize that they're also human and they have families and they spend a lot of time away from their family, and the players end up being their family and they're willing to do anything for us.
Yeah.
And um, that's where I've been blessed at Western. All the coaches have been great mentors, and even if they're not even my position coach, like a defensive line coach, Coach Denham was one of my favorite guys to be around, and he impacted me in a positive way. And he wasn't even my position coach; he wasn't even on my side of the ball. And just the love from the coaches around Western Michigan, and I have a out there personality and like to get to know people, and I think that's something that Western has been able to use well about me, and just meeting a bunch of different coaches that are awesome people, and just creating great bond as a team. And it's just I've had great coaches throughout my career.
Yeah, 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 definitely. Um, I love that. I want to hear a little bit more, or talk a little bit about, the transition into the NFL, this next step for you. Um, Tell me, like, after your career, now that you're, doing the transition, what are some of your bigger concerns and things that you're working on, going before you, start doing tryouts and stuff?
Yeah, I'm here in South Carolina training for Pro Day
Nice.
at Apex, and really working on that 40 stances and the things that football players don't really do every single day. So trying to improve those things are definitely new for me, and I love learning these new tasks. But on the football field, obviously, just improving in every way I can. Pad level and inside hands are the two things that I think are the most important when blocking, and then just staying consistent on catching the ball and being diligent with my eyes. The only time people drop the ball is when they're lazy with their eyes, and that's something that I've been able to continue improving on every year throughout my career, and just using that to benefit me. And then um, picking up long snapping. I long snapped in high school, and then doing it some more now. And
That's
I
awesome.
was able to do some practice in college, and we had a great long snapper who's now at Oregon, RJ Todd. So he's been able to help me out a little bit too there. So just being able to benefit the team in as many ways and whatever's required. I'm the only tight end in college, and I'm sure Division One was returning punts as a tight end. Just doing what the team is willing, or whatever the team needs, and being willing for that. So excited to see the next steps on that. But what I'm focused on right now, I mean, like I said, the pad level and inside hands and the run blocking, and just staying consistent with my eyes when in the pass game.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's your favorite thing about your sales degree that you learned, or favorite time?
I really enjoyed my sales degree. I actually started out as an entrepreneurship major, but then they got rid of it. Um, but the sales classes were really beneficial, and had lots of sales role plays where you had to put yourself in a sales pitch situation or whatever it is. And I was able to benefit from talking to random classmates
Nice.
and different businesses that came in to help out. So that was really cool to help me with my networking and things like that. And I also run my own custom shoe business, so that helped me with my networking abilities and not being afraid to go talk to someone that you don't know, and you never know where that could go. Like I was talking to someone
Sick.
on a plane a few days ago that I gave him my business card, and now possibly might be making custom shoes for him. So stuff like that just was really awesome. With my sales degree, really taught me to not be afraid to talk to people, and
Yeah.
even how to talk to people is important.
That is like being able to elevator pitch, like you said, like that's super important, and like a skill, like especially playing football. I feel like that might help you, years to come, playing football wise. Um, yeah, I'm fun. I'll wrap this up in a few minutes. I know this has been a while.
No, yeah, I enjoy talking, and you've had some great questions, and really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Appreciate it, bro. I love draft season. It's since I was in high school, I've always kind of covered it. So this is my favorite time of year, and it drags, but it's gonna fly by before you know it. It'll be April, March.
Yep,
Pro days will be over and stuff. So, uh, just love taking advantage of every single day and loving the process. That's what I've heard people say over the years. It's awesome.
absolutely.
Um, Tell me, like, over your Western Michigan career, now that you're going into the NFL, um, what did Western Michigan give you that you'll take into the NFL?
I'd say that Western gave me a chip on my shoulder, being a walk-on and just carrying that throughout my career is going to be important. And Western, we didn't get the nicest stuff. We didn't have the best facilities, and um, we were pretty scrappy and gritty, like I said, and that's how we were able to win the MAC. And just bringing that aspect from Western is going to benefit me in the NFL. And um, doing the dirty work is super important, and every team needs someone to do that. And I'm always willing to do whatever it is that the team needs. So I think that's super important to me, and will always be important to me. Is if it can benefit the team, always being willing to do what it is.
Yeah, definitely. And being a tight end, like you said, special teamer, like that's who you are. Like I can tell you're a scrapper, like football player. I actually kind of wanted to, get a feel. Talking to someone like you're gonna meet plenty of people this off season like me that you don't that you've never met before. You don't know. Uh, what kind of football player would you describe yourself as? Because like I said, you're a football player, like special teamer, like tight ends do it all type of role. Like how would you describe yourself as a football guy?
Yeah, I would say gritty. I think lots of people use it, but don't show it. But I think I've shown my grit throughout my career, and um, I don't think you can find a single play where I'm loafing behind, and um, I don't think you can find another player that's willing to do what the team needs more than me. And whether it's punt returning or long snapping or running down on kickoff or being frontline on kick return, whatever's necessary. Um, I was always the guy to be willing to do that, and I think that's something that's important to NFL teams. And um, I think it's important for all players to know that no job is too small for them.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're a football player. That's awesome. If you're watching this, just know Blake Bosma is a football dude. He's just coming to play football, coming to do it wherever he's going.
Absolutely.
Uh, so before like I said, the next few months are gonna fly by. You're training for pro day. What are the do you have a timeline set up for that? Like what's the workout days are set and stuff like that?
I'm not. They said either March 17 or March 19 is pro day, so
Wow.
still waiting on the official date for that. But been putting in the time and the hours, and have a great program set out for me and great coaches that are able to help me with that. So super excited for these next few weeks, seeing improvement and knowing that improvement's not just going to come 1 week in or 2 weeks in, but looking back after 8, 9 weeks is going to be super cool to see. And I've seen small improvements already, but seeing that jump from 1 to 2 weeks to
Yeah.
week 1 to week 8 or 9 or whatever it is going to be really cool to see. And seeing how my body has changed, seeing how my times and jumps have improved. So, excuse me, I'm super excited to see how
Yeah.
that turns out.
Do you have any numbers that you want to share, or like are you trying to challenge yourself in any like specific workout?
I wouldn't say there's any that I'm specifically challenging myself, but I know teams look at the 40, the broad, the vert. I mean, no skill is too small to look at. So I'm super excited to just improve in every aspect that I can.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean they all matter, like especially for the Travis Kelsey type of tight ends, like you mentioned yourself earlier, like the shuttle matters, and they all the whole total package, like it
Right.
tells a story. Um, what are some of your goals this off season? What are you looking forward to the most?
I'm looking forward to just improving as much as I can. I've never got as much one-on-one help as I'm getting
Nice.
right now in this training. So I think that we had great strength staff and coaches at Western, but we never got one-on-one help. And Apex is able to have some interns that are one-on-one, hands-on, help you out, and things that you might not notice when you're running, like whatever it is, they're able to see it just because they have one person watching one player. So that's really cool to see, and you don't get that everywhere you go. So I'm super happy with where I'm at right now.
Yeah, and you've been rooting for the team since like 2021. Before then, you've been rooting for teams since then. So now you get to be selfish a little bit. You get to take the
Yep.
next few months, worry about yourself. Tune in, dial in. That's awesome. I'm excited to see what how the rest of the months go and everything. Um, and do you plan on doing any All Star games or anything like that?
Yeah, so I went to CGS. Enjoyed my time in Dallas Fort Worth and felt like I played well and met a bunch of cool players and talked to a few teams and um, was a great experience. But super excited to be back focused on just this pro day and um, whatever
Yeah.
that has to bring me.
Yeah, last one I got, and then I'll wrap it up. Has there been any surprises, like this early on into the off season prep? Like, is there anything you're surprised about in terms of like traveling or anything that's come up that you didn't expect?
Not really any super big surprises. My agent has been able to keep me in the loop and kind of
Nice.
keep me posted on what's going to happen a little bit before it happens, just to keep me posted on that timeline. So, really appreciate them working hard for me and keeping me in the loop in that aspect.
It's awesome. I appreciate all the time, Blake. Before I let you go, I know the Super Bowl is coming up in a few weeks. Uh, who do you think's going to be in it? And do you got a pick for who might win it?
Man, I'm not sure. I think the Seahawks are a really good team. Um, but I really like the Rams. I like Braden Fisk. I
Yeah,
want to see him win, but I think it'd be cool to see kind of the Broncos underdog story now that Bo Nix is out, seeing that. So I don't know if there's any team that I'm rooting for, but definitely going to tune in and watch.
that's cool. That's sick, man. Well, like I said, I appreciate all you for all the time. This has been a long time. I hope you had a lot of fun. Like I said, I had a lot of fun, hearing about your stuff, and I'm excited to post this and get this out and everything. Do you want to say anything before you go, or are we all good?
No, that's all good. Thank you so much for taking the time and reaching out, and really appreciate you um, getting my name out there and telling my story a little bit. So I really appreciate it.